Former prisoner and inmate.
You did it. What are you doing, Guns?
You bit the hell out of me.
Wanna see you with your hands up. Going straight to the sky, let me see you put your hands up. Cause we do till we die and we on another level.
I'm at New York City.
To the rest of your body, we get some got a piece of the pie. Told you once, told you twice that we only got one life.
On the way to achieve success after prison, and he's going to share his story with us right now.
Diamond shine, best at night. You wear yours, I'll wear mine. Go dumb tonight.
What's up? Welcome back to another episode of my thing, Tales of Form Gangster Street Takes. Gotta go to the doctors. Just for my headaches. They give me like a prescriptions for my headaches. Nothing major, nothing drug-wise. It's just kind of a little bit of lithium, blood pressure medication. It helps. I've had suffered with these migraine headaches for 6-7 years, and it took several years for them to get like it under management control. Kratom really is the main thing. I start getting a pound of headache, I freaking chug down some gross ass kratom and boom, knocks my headache out for 5 hours. Wears off, the headache comes back a little bit. But anyways, if you're hearing rain or distortion, that's because it's raining. So I'm on the road, and I'm on my dirt road, which is really pissing me off because my Jeep was nice and clean. That's the part that sucks about living on a dirt road. If it rains and you gotta drive, my Jeep was looking sweet, you know, it was nice and clean. I fixed the system on it. I had a short in one of my mid-range speakers, which were causing the whole system to like short out. So I fixed it, took the door speaker out, played with it, tightened it down, boom. I do like to drive and bump. I can't bump right now. First of all, the iPad that runs the system is dead because I unplugged it. Because if I don't unplug it, it drains the battery. It's crazy. Because I don't ever drive. If I drove like once a week or something, then it would charge, the battery would be charged and wouldn't make a difference. But since I only drive this thing like once a month, I just don't drive anywhere. Battery drain. The iPad that runs the sound system and everything else drains the battery. Anyways, so I don't know what made me think about. I do know what made me think about. I was listening to another interview of somebody, and they said the name. I don't even want to say the name. And the reason for this is I just don't know if this guy is out there or what his deal is. He's probably dead. He was pretty old when I knew him. But you don't know. So I'm not going to say his name. But I'll tell you, it all kind of started when I was living in New York. Kind of a crazy story. In fact, this dude's story led me to create a character in the book that I'm going to publish after my next book. It's called the Snowman Chronicles. It's about two huge cocaine dealers. They're not really dealers. They're guys who more or less facilitate or connect two organizations together. One being the mafia, one being the cartel in Colombia. They basically become the middlemen and the conduit to facilitate the distribution of cocaine on a global level that it's like never been done. It's been done, but these guys are just doing it on that level. Ultimately, they end up using the billions of dollars. I think it's like $1.5 billion of the cartel's money to purchase a shipping fleet, kind of an outdated shipping fleet, container shipping fleet, from some company in Europe. I think it's in Malta or it might have been Greece. And they use this shipping company to move tons and tons of cocaine all over the world. But it's cool how they do it. It's not just like, they put it in a boat and they move it. No, they start like 100 different shell companies Well, they're not shell companies. They're legitimate companies that manufacture goods and ship it all over the world. Therefore, when the ship comes to port and they've got all these containers, there's a manifest that says, here are kitchen tables that came from, Brazil. Here are this that came from that. These toys that came from China. Here are this, that. And the reason they got the idea for this was earlier in their career at drug dealers, several years before. A politician from Canada. Well, actually, no. I'll go before that. There was a guy that was they were introduced to a dude this is what I'm going to talk about, this guy today on this show in a minute. But there was a guy, we'll call him Cap, old Jewish dude, who they were introduced to. And rumor had it that this guy was moving tons and tons of marijuana into the country. And he was like a smuggling expert. So they connected with this dude somehow. Can't remember how. I have it done in the book. It's been a while. It's been like 10 years since I wrote the book. It's a really good book, very long book. I'm going to have to edit it down. It's like 700 pages already. The guy sits down with them and he says, I'm not telling you how to get away with this or not get away with it, but here's an idea. Hypothetical. You buy a fishing boat that goes off the coast of Alaska, British Columbia, whatever. He suggests British Columbia because he's Canadian. He was doing his smuggling to Canada. Get a couple fishing boats, big fishing boats. You send them out to catch salmon. You buy the license. It's $1 million for the license. Very expensive. You have to have a certain type of boat that can take all the salmon and package them in coolers and freeze them in ice and boxes and yada yada. You send them out, and they come back with 98% of the boxes filled with drugs. Because they meet another ship. They meet another ship out there. Then they have boxes of salmon kind of as the front on top of everything. And here's what they do. When they come into port, and he says this, he says, when you come into port, maybe you spill a couple boxes. Oops, some salmon fall on the ground. And the locals you say to the locals or the people helping unload, your workers, you guys can have them salmon. They hit the floor, man. They're yours. Thank you. They're worth a lot of money. They're a box full of salmon for a couple $100. They actually drop a couple off the conveyor belt. Boom. Now, anybody watching, be it the police, Border Patrol, or, Coast Guard, whatever, they see you spill a bunch of salmon on the ground, they're just legit salmon fishermen. So, he tells them to do this, and they get the idea to do it. So, okay. So they got the money, because they've been drug dealers for several years now. They're dealing with the cartel. And the stuff that leads up to this is insane. It's just insane, the stuff that leads them up to this point. This is where they're like halfway into the book now or more. So they've kind of made it. So they start smuggling cocaine in this fashion into Canada. Once it's in Canada, they load it on shipping planes and they fly it to the east coast of America, Montreal, Quebec, Toronto, and New York and all these places. Massive amounts of cocaine, tons of it. This goes on for several months, and everything's going great. There's a ton of freaking money being made, millions of dollars. Then one day, they get a call at their office, and it's some politician, some Canadian politician. I think it's the Minister of Agriculture or Minister of Interior, or some kind of a minister of or Secretary of Treasury, some bullcrap. He says, "Hey guys, I need a meeting with you." We're like, okay, and they had to get citizenship, by the way, in order to to open this business in Canada. But they had money and lawyers. They were easily able to buy their citizenship, dual citizenship. They were Americans, squeaky clean records. One's an ex-NFL football player. He's been a couple years in the NFL, so they knew he had money from that. Not a ton of money, but with a semi-trailer racing up on me behind me, and I'm turning. So he meets the guys and says, listen, fellas, I know what you're doing. And they're like, what are you talking about? I said, I know what you're doing. And I don't care. Keep doing it. However, I need a cut. I need 10% of everything that comes through. I know exactly what you're moving, and I know how and where it's going. I know the whole operation. Are you kidding me, man? We've been dealing with people like you for years. But I need 10%. And they're making like $10 million a month. I need $1 million a month. They look at each other and like, okay, works for me. So they're still making a lot of money, just not as much. Months go by, they're still clocking him. And what happens is this guy, this diplomat, or this politician, minister, starts to become friends with them, and they have a few drinks and hang out a few times, and then he says, listen, they're having an event for the UN in Luxembourg, which I think is where the headquarters of the United Nations is. It's either Belgium or Luxembourg, one of those two. He says, nobody really wants to go. I need a couple of diplomats to go represent Canada. I would like to diplomatize you and send you to, on behalf of the Canadian consulate. So you just go there, represent Canada, be seen at the party, mingle, shake hands, have a few drinks, talk to a few people. That's it. I need a favor, because nobody in my cabinet or whatever wants to go. It's just, it's kind of a boring thing, the UN. They're like, all right, well, you need that? Sounds like a good time to me. So, and then the one dude, his name is, what the hell was his name? Titus Tagliano. He's a big, muscle-bound Italian dude who played like 1 or 2 seasons in the NFL. Crazy, and then he injured himself and retired. And this boy, who was his boy in high school, was selling drugs with them. Then the dude hit on his girlfriend. They fell out, and Tag beat his ass a couple times. But then they became cool because the kid he's Colombian and Mexican mixed, and he needed a steroid plug because he had all these guys in the NFL who wanted steroids. So he said, will you go into Mexico and get me steroids and send it to guy, we can make a little money. And the dude was like, so they squashed their beef. Like, it was kind of like me and my friend Eli. That's what inspired it. And then the Colombian kid goes into Mexico, gets all these steroids, starts selling them to Tag, who's giving them to his friends in the NFL and all these high rollers. So now they're cool again. And because Tag had money from the NFL, a couple $100,000, in the bank. And he says, I got a couple $100,000, you got a couple $100,000. If we go see my uncle in Colombia, I think we can get him to freaking sell us, kilos for like $3,000 a brick. If we get him back here, we can get $25,000 a brick. So we can take, $100 grand down or $200 grand down there and make freaking $4 million back or whatever it was. But the uncle don't know this yet. So they show up. He contacts. He never met his uncle in real life, by the way. He'd spoken to him, but he had spoken to his uncle's son, his cousin, and his cousin was a huge cocaine dealer with a private jet flying freaking. His name is Giorgio, flying all this cocaine in and out of Arizona. And he's like, I want to meet your dad. And he's like, nah, it's a bad idea, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, he calls his uncle, says, listen, I want to come introduce you to my friend Tag. He's got some connections in the mafia. And of course, the uncle's like, yeah, we don't deal with the mafia. We want nothing to do with the mafia. And they always rob us. We don't trust them. A few times we tried to deal with the mob, it went bad. We end up having to kill people, blah, 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 blah. We don't want it. He's like, trust me, my boy Tag is not like that. He's legit. He played in the NFL, he's got cash money, and he's got an uncle who's connected to all these freaking mob guys. And those mob guys are connected to a bunch of other mob guys in other cities like New York and Chicago. And blah. If we can, build something together, we can make this connection, they can do distribution wing. So the uncle says, all right, I'll meet him. In fact, I'll tell you this quick story and then I'll get back to this dude Cap. So when they go down there for the first time, it's a crazy ass story. They fly down to Honduras, and the Mexican Colombian kid, his name is Jimmy Rios. They meet at a little airport in the middle of the jungle in the middle of nowhere. Now keep in mind, Tag had already beat this kid's ass like 5 times and terrorized him for like 2 years. And now the kid, got him at some jungle airport in the middle of nowhere. They go to get on his plane. It's like a small turboprop twin engine plane, kind of raggedy. They pull it out of this hangar, and when they're pulling out of the hangar, the wing clips the hangar door. By the way, the pilot, there's two pilots, they're his cousins. They smell like alcohol. They're pulling out of the freaking thing, and the wing clips the thing and like rips the chunk of metal, aluminum, skin off the plane. And Tag's out there going, what the frick? They get out there and they rock it off there, back it up, they get it out. He's like, we can't fly this freaking plane. There's a chunk out of the wing. And they're like, no, it's good. We'll be fine. They got to fly from Honduras to Colombia. It's a long freaking way, man. It's like 1,800 miles. They're like, he's like, I don't know. They convince him it's going to be fine. And by the way, he don't speak Spanish. And they're only speaking Spanish to Jimmy. So he doesn't know if this is a setup, like they're going to take him and kill him somewhere or whatever. He's starting to think this. He's paranoid. And he's got $200,000 of his money on him. All he has, like $250,000. That's all he had. It's with, they both have like $250,000. They get up in the plane and they're flying, and all of a sudden he smells like the smell of cocaine burning. And he looks at the pilots and he's smoking a cigar. But what he was smoking was a Primo, which was a basically weed, big freaking weed cigar wrapped in a cocaine leaf. And they're smoking it. Then they're passing this fifth of bottle back and forth, the two cousins, pilots. And frickin', he's going, what the frick, are you kidding me, man? These guys are smoking weed, cocaine, getting high, freaking drink. He's like, don't worry, we'll buy the cocaine, makes them more alert. They fly better when they're on cocaine. And they're laughing because they know he's back there freaking out. This big gringo, When they land at a private airport, which is just a strip in the jungle, he thinks it's over. He thinks this is over. He's dead. They're gonna kill him. They're gonna put a bullet in him and dump him in the thing, and Jimmy get the last laugh. All that terrorizing I did of him over the girl for 2 years, he set me up. He got down. He gets my $250,000, and he kills me out in the freaking jungle, and he wins. Damn it! I screwed up. I messed up. I'm a sucker. I'm a punk. What the frick was I thinking? They land the plane barely. There's a small convoy of SUVs and raggedy old Jeeps and crap. They put him in the back of a Jeep. They say, he says, where are we? He's like, and one of them says, we're on your Uncle Giorgio's property. And the uncle's name is Giorgio too. So he thinks, oh, well, we're good. We're on the property. No, we're right there. We don't have that far to go. No, it was like 75 miles away down the horrible jungle back roads, bouncing and crashing and bouncing. His uncle owned like 75 square miles. This huge cocaine kingpin outside of Medellin, Colombia. It gets him there. They take the money, put it in the back room. Uncle comes out. Jimmy says, it's nice to finally meet you, Uncle Giorgio, and heard so much about you, blah, blah, blah. This is my friend Tag, Titus Tegliano. He's the one I told you about, good guy. And at this point, Tag's still not sure. And so the guy says, okay, we'll talk business later. Right now, we gotta have dinner first. But before we eat, I always feed my animals. He's like, kind of like Tag's like, feed your animals before you eat. He's like, yeah, my animals eat first. He says, come on, I'll show you. So they put him in the back of like a Jeep Wrangler or something. They're in the back seat, and in front of them is a white van, and they drive for about 4 or 5 miles, and then they get to a fenced-in area that's like a high barbed wire electric fence, and they get out and they punch in the thing, and the thing slides open, and they drive in. You don't know what the frick's going on. They go in about a half mile and pull up on a pride of lions. It's a pride of lions kind of sitting on these rocks by a little river. All of a sudden, two guys get out of the van. They open the back of the van, and there's two dudes in there, like gagged and hands tied. They're gagged and hands tied, maybe ankles too. They drag them out, they walk them around the van, shove them on the ground set, and then they jump back because the lions right away perk up and start coming. And the dudes jump back in the van, and then they don't move. Nobody moves. And now this dude, Titus, Tag, and his boy Jimmy are watching this. The lions run up and rip these freaking two dudes to shreds. Just start eating them. Rip them apart, eating them, really. And Tag's like, holy, like this is sick, demented freaking insanity, man. This is crazy. This guy just fed his lions 2 human beings. So then they say turn around. They go back to the house, and like the chef and stuff brings out a big feast. And when the uncle starts eating like it's nothing, and of course Tag's not feeling too good, he's not ready to eat, kind of sick. He just saw people get ripped apart. And he says, so you represent the mafia? And he said, I don't really represent the mafia, but I have some connections to the mafia. My uncle's a freaking big guy. But I don't know, I'm my own man. He's like, good. He's like, I've had a lot of bad luck with the mafia, he says. And he's speaking English. They always seem to rob us. They get to a point, 10, 20, 30 kilos, and then they rob us. They kill my guys and they run. Then I got to find them and kill them. He's like, I don't want to do that. I don't do that. I just want to make money. I'm here to make money. I'm not here to get robbed or to kill people. I will kill people. I don't want to kill people. He says, no, sir, of course not. I mean, it's business. We're trying to make money. He says, do you know who those two men were that I fed the lions? No, I have no idea. You didn't recognize them? He says, no. They're like, well, that doesn't surprise me. But that was the two heads of the biggest gangs in Los Angeles. The Bloods and the Crips. Both of them were the two leaders. Now, I told them, stop fighting. Stop shooting each other. Stop doing drive-bys. Get along. Everybody's here to make money. Both sides can sell cocaine and drugs and whatever and not kill each other and fight. We're in it for the money. I warned them. I send men to warn them. Stop this. Stop this shooting, this madness over your stupid colors. The one color is green. Money. Stop it. They wouldn't listen. I warned them. Finally, I have to bring them here. And what he had done was basically went and sent men to have a meeting with them. Then they freaking basically kidnapped them and brought them to Colombia, and that's what they did. So he says, so now I send this message back. I send a video to the next guy in line, the new leaders, and say, this is what happens if you fuck me over. You understand? And he was trying to say to Tag, I don't care if you're in the mafia. It means nothing to me. The mafia is nothing to me. I'm here to make money. If I need to kill the mafia, I kill them. It's not what it's about. I'm here to make money. I just killed the two biggest, gang leaders in LA, in the world. So that's when they say, well, we understand we can distribute, how much for, if I give you $250, if we give you $500,000, how much can we get? He kind of laughs. It's like, $500,000? That's barely a load. It was like 20 kilos or whatever it was. I don't know, it wasn't a lot, 50 kilos. It's not even worth making a run. How are you going to get it in? He says, we got an idea. Well, what's your idea? He said, we're going to get it in a boat. We're going to get it to Mexico, take a boat from Mexico into Texas. He's like, you'll never get it in. You'll get busted. People do that all the time. They're always busted. So then Tag sits there, scratches, says, what if we crossed the Gulf of Mexico and came through Louisiana? Now you might have a chance. He's going to hide the drugs in the boat, and we're going to be out there like we're fishing, deep sea fishing. We're just legitimate two dudes out deep sea fishing. He's like, okay, it's worth a shot. I'll sell you the cocaine. If you get it through, I'll give you more. Because, if they get it through, now they got several $1 million. So, anyways, that's how they start to blow up. But the next level of the game is pretty interesting, because Jimmy's at a party and he sees this kid playing on a toy, one of those like battery powered four-wheelers, little ones, and it flips over on its side and like the seat falls off and the battery falls out, and the battery's about the size of a kilo of cocaine, and a light bulb goes off in his head. He's like, man, we could smuggle cocaine in these things. So he tracks down where the toy is made. Long story short, they end up starting a toy company, like a Toys R Us. Several of them around the country. They fly to China and they tell the manufacturer, can you make the battery compartment in this dimension, which is the dimension for the cocaine? He said yes. So what they started doing in Colombia, so they would ship the toys, these battery powered four-wheelers for kids, from Colombia, but on the manifest it said they went from China to Los Angeles, when in fact they stopped at Colombia, and the batteries for these things were basically cocaine inside of them. They looked like the batteries that they made, but there was actually a kilo of cocaine in them. and they start bringing these things, thousands and thousands, and like the manufacturers can't even keep up. They're making them so fast, and they're selling them all over at these toy stores, but they're basically just throwing them out after like thousands of them, you know. And so they just keep taking things to the next level, and the next level, and the next level. And it all started from this dude named Cap, who taught them. And by the way, when they went on that diplomatic mission to for the UN, while they were there, some dude comes walking over and says, you know, who are you guys? And he starts talking to him. And the guy's like, he turns out to be a prince from the Prince of Luxembourg. And he's got his own castle. And he says, you guys want to go party at my castle for the weekend? And they're like, what, you got a castle? He brings them to this castle. And he's got all these high rollers there, like billionaires and diplomats and big shots there hanging out, hot women. And he's like, he's a party animal, kind of like a, you know, a socialite. And while they're there, he starts asking them the deal, like, what's your deal? And Tag says, I'm looking to buy a fighter jet. He says, what? Yeah, I've always wanted to buy a fighter jet. I got the money. I'd like to buy a fighter jet, but American fighter jet. He's like, but that's not, they don't sell them. It's kind of illegal to sell an American fighter jet to the public. He says, the guy, the Prince of Luxembourg goes, I know a guy. He's like, hold on. He's like, gets on the phone, calls him. He says, yeah, okay, you're gonna be in Monte Carlo. So you're gonna be in Monte Carlo. He hangs up and says, so my friend, who owns a bunch of airplanes, has a F1 team, and they're racing in Monte Carlo this weekend. You wanna go? And they're like, hell yeah, I mean, it's your friend has his own F1 team. He's like, yeah, he's got 2 of them. He's like, and he got planes, he's got a bunch of planes, he's got his own airport. He says he knows a guy that can get you a fighter jet. So he says, okay. So they fly down to Monte Carlo and they go to this F1 race and they're mingling with these billionaires. And the guy says, so you want a fighter jet? He says, yeah. He's like, I'm friends with the King of Kuwait. The King of Kuwait has a whole squadron of like decommissioned F-16 that America had given Kuwait during the Gulf War. They just didn't take care of them, and they didn't need to because America was protecting Kuwait anyway. America had its own air base there with squadron after squadron. They didn't need to spend tens of millions of dollars maintaining these F-16s. What was the point? So now they're all just sitting there decommissioned it like a graveyard. He's like, I think I can get the guy to meet you, maybe to sell you one. So this is how this chain of events all happened. So they fly to Kuwait. They meet this king in his palace, this oil sheik. And they say, he's like, so you got some F-16s? He says, yeah, I think you can piece one together. He's like, I'll take you to see them. When they take him, Tag and James, to see the F-16s, he has this freaking like a whole motorcade of like private security protecting him, military and private security. And he starts talking to some of these private security guys because he's in the car with them, like a bulletproof limo and stuff. He's like, damn, dude, was this what you guys do? You got out here? He's like, yeah, does it get rough? He's like, yeah. He's like, I'd love to do this. Like, I always wanted to join the military, but I never was able to, you know, I went another route, I went in the NFL and blah, blah, blah. He's like, man, but dude, I'd love to be, you know, get involved in some private security type of stuff. And they're like, yeah, and then really it's only for ex-military, you know. He's like, man, F that, dude. Why would I have to be ex-military? I can't be trained. And they're like, I guess you could be, but, you know, it's usually for ex-military, you know, whatever. And the guy says, and then Tag says, I'll give you $1 million. No, he says, I'll buy your company. And it's like some multi-million-dollar private security company. And they're like, I can't just buy our security company. It's worth like $50 million. He's like, all right, well, I'll buy a part of it. You know, I'll give you $5 million. All I ask is that you train me so I can be part of your private security team and do some of these cool missions and details. And the owner's like, shoot, man, $5 million bucks, just to train the guy, put him on the payroll, I'm down. Takes the money and they train him. He ends up doing some private security and he ends up getting shot in the ass, which leads to how the story kind of ends. There's an ending to the story that leads to the end of the story, but I don't want to give it away. It's a crazy story. He gets a cane from a movie producer, and that cane, I can't ruin it, dude. It's such a good, crazy twist to the ending. I'm not going to ruin it. But that cane is seen in a picture years later after he's gone on the run, and the FBI can't find him, but his boy ends up in prison. His boy Jimmy ends up in prison for a bunch of years. But Tag runs and never to be seen again when they get busted. But anyways, at some point they get involved in the movie business, Hollywood, and they start a production company. They make a movie, and it's kind of a military theme movie. They actually get Barack Obama to star in it and stuff, or just kind of show, like be in it, you know. And it's just, that's part of the downfall, is he gets in a beef with this actor, and he actually beats some actor up, and he's some action hero actor, and he gets humiliated in front of everybody at a party, and so he's got a sister who works in the FBI, and she starts looking into his business affairs and dealings, and she figures out something isn't right with him, and they start piecing together the puzzle, and they eventually piece together that something ain't right. These guys are freaking not legit. And then they go, holy crap, and they figure it out, and they're like, this guy's freaking one of the biggest drug dealers in the world. But anyways, I gotta go. When I get back, I'm gonna tell you about Cap, how he helped inspire this entire story, this book, this dude who I met in New York, and how I met him, which is just kind of a fluke freak thing. It's just crazy how the world works, you know. All it takes is you to meet one person that can spark up an idea, or inspire something that just builds into something else. And that's what in part that kind of helped build my book, Snowman Chronicles, what I'm telling you about. But I gotta find this freaking place, so I'll hit you back when I come out of here. I'm all right, bye.
Former prisoner and inmate.
You did it. What are you doing, Guns?
You bit the hell out of me.
Wanna see you with your hands up. Going straight to the sky, let me see you put your hands up. Cause we do till we die, and we on another level.
I'm at New York City.
To the rest of your body, got a piece of the pie. Told you once, told you twice, that we only got one life.
All the way to what you